Welcome to Breathe In, Scream Out, a podcast for feeling it all, one breath and scream at a time. I'm Katie Healy, your guide through this sacred mess called life. Here in this podcast, we'll feel everything. We'll cry, we'll laugh, we'll scream, and maybe scream again. Let's get into it. Hello, welcome back to Breathe In, Scream Out. I'm your host, Katie Healy, and I am so excited to be here with you today, as always. This episode is all things Aries season, the start of the astrological new year, the Aries new moon, the Libra full moon. I can't wait to get into this with you. I don't know about you, but my fire being and my Aries placement, I'm an Aries Mars, obviously. I will explain what that means. But my fire placements are finally feeling alive again after a few months of feeling metaphorically dead, emotionally spent, and going through an ego death in many ways and a death of an old self. So I'm starting to actually come alive again, which makes sense given the season that we're in. Before we do anything, what am I screaming about? So much as an American woman. And I think given that it's Aries season, there's so much I could say, and I'm already probably shadow banned in many ways. So taking that into consideration, being that it's Aries season, I think as a woman especially, and whoever you are, however you identify, I'm sure you can relate to this in some way, but this idea of imposter syndrome and that there's not enough to go around for everyone. As an actor, as a facilitator, practitioner in the wellness space, there's definitely this idea that there's just not enough to go around. And I think in particular, women are made to believe that we have to be in competition with each other. Another breathwork facilitator, another somatic practitioner, another actor, another creative. And I don't know about you, but I hold myself back in wild ways, which maybe does not appear that way on the outside. I mean, it took me years to even start this podcast. As an actor and a creative, I've been feeling more inspired to write lately. And I think my conditioning, society, the way I feel as an actor about writers and just how brilliant they are, the way I hold myself back from doing those things because I don't have the training or I haven't put in the 10,000 hours, which I do feel is a really valid fact, putting in the hours, the time, the energy towards your dreams and your goals, but recognizing the ways that you, wherever you are in your life right now, are maybe holding yourself back from something, starting that idea, sharing online, on social media, picking up that new desire. Maybe it's just a hobby. Maybe it's something you just want to try. But I just see, I'm a woman. I can only speak to that. The way the women in my life, we hold ourselves back. And whether you're a woman or not, or however you identify, what in you is holding yourself back from something you really want? And it doesn't even have to be career related or productivity related. Maybe it's a relationship or saying the thing or expressing your way, the way you want to express in a friendship, a partnership, at work, going for the promotion, going for the relationship, giving someone your number. I am feeling the weight of imposter syndrome in so many ways, in the way I share online, in the way I lead as a teacher, guide, a practitioner, in my work as an astrologer, as an actor, especially. And I see all these mediocre ass white men in the government. I just want to remind you, all of the people that are politicians that run at least the United States of America, the first time they were elected, they had never done that before. And their lawyers or whatever they do, they had never done that before. And we give them the power to create laws and structures and tell us what to do? No, ma'am. No, sir. So I am screaming about that thing, and I'm talking to myself here too, as always, that thing that you really want to make, that bold choice, that move, that relationship you want to pursue that you keep holding yourself back from because you think you're not ready, you're not good enough, you don't have the qualifications, you don't have the experience, whatever it is you're telling yourself, fuck that, fuck it to hell, and do the thing, which is really what Aries season is. It's you start by starting. And I truly believe the best way to start is just before you're ready. And that is what I'm screaming about. No more imposter syndrome. Not that that's not a real feeling, but no more letting it hold us back from what we truly want, who we truly want to be, just because we're telling ourselves we're not qualified enough. Because there's, and sorry to the men, the 3 men that listen to this, three is probably generous. Sorry to the men, I love you, but these white ass men out there who have no qualifications and just assume that the world owes it to them, that they deserve it. That's how we're moving in Aries season and the rest of 2026. That's what I'm screaming about. So, as always, let's scream together. Wherever you are, seated, at work, driving in your car, create some awareness in your body, create some awareness in your space. If you have a moment to find some quiet, some privacy, please take it. If not, you make this your own, but if you can, close your eyes, hold them open with a soft gaze, whatever feels best and right for you. Find your seat, your feet beneath you. Allow some breath awareness just to come into your space, come into your body. Feel your feet beneath you, your seat beneath you. Notice your natural breath, any tension in your body. Just allowing that to easily, freely drop or melt away. We'll take 3 rounds of breath together. I'll guide us through. Feel free to take all the time you need. Take a deep inhale through your nose. Big sigh out through your mouth. Letting it drop away. Energy just melt off of you. Another deep breath in. Another big sigh out. And this final round of breath, we'll make some sound or just a big sigh. And if you can't make sound wherever you are, even just miming it might feel good, or just sighing it out. One more big breath in, deepest inhale yet. Sigh out, scream out some sound. Shake out the hands, wiggle the feet, flutter the lips. As if that movement, that sound could just drop that energy off of you, could let it go that easily. Slowly start to bring yourself back to your natural breath. Your inhale, your exhale. Feel your feet beneath you. Feel your seat beneath you. Maybe roll your shoulders a few times. And if your eyes are closed, just gently start to flutter them open. Come back into the space. Okay, Aries season. Aries season started March 20th, goes through April 19th. Aries is a fire sign. It is technically the first sign of the zodiac. So this is the start of the astrological new year. And I've referenced this a few times before, but it's no surprise that the first day of Aries season is always the first day of spring. It's aligned with the spring equinox because the seasons astrologically and the modalities that sign is, Aries is a cardinal sign. Cardinal signs are Aries, Cancer, Libra, and Capricorn. Aries and Libra are the pair. Cancer and Capricorn are the pair. They are the start of each new season. The spring equinox, Cancer season aligns with summer, Libra aligns with fall, and Capricorn is always the beginning of winter as well. We might, because global warming, feel those shifts in the seasons a little differently depending on where you are in the world, where you live, how you experience the seasons. But here, at least in North America, that's how we experience the seasons with the start of Aries season, Cancer, Libra, and Capricorn. So Aries really is one, the original one of one. If there was a way to embody Aries energy, it is I am. The Libra full moon, Libra is Aries' sibling, sister sign, as some folks call it, is on April 1st. And the Aries new moon is on April 17th. And we've been experiencing the new moons at the end of a season, which is really interesting. It gives us the opportunity to fully explore and experience the energy of Aries. And then the new moon, a time for new beginnings, for creations, is happening at the end of the season when we are in the fullness, the most realized version of that energy. That's going to continue for a little while throughout 2026. Like I shared, Aries is fire. It is ruled by the planet Mars in traditional astrology, Pluto as well. And I am an Aries Mars. In traditional astrology, they would call that, like, Aries is at home in Mars. So Mars is the planet of action. It is the planet of war. It is the planet of desire, sex, work ethic, and how we move and make choices and what inspires us to move and take action. So if you've ever been on the receiving end of my action, desire, war energy, it is Aries. I'm also have that Sag in my chart too. So fire to me, when we're in a fire season, Aries, Leo, Sag, I really feel that igniting energy. And whether you have Aries placements or not, you do have a part of your birth chart that is ruled by Aries. I'm a Gemini rising. So Aries is my 11th house. I practice whole sign. That's usually how I read folks' charts. That's how I experience and read my chart. So if Gemini is my rising sign in the first house, Aries is in my 11th house of community, networking, friendships. So take a look at your chart or DM me and we'll look at it together and we can figure out what house in your chart is ruled by Aries and where you might be experiencing this season. Also, if you have Aries placements, you probably know if you're listening to this podcast, or maybe you don't, maybe there's some other, not even planets, but points in the sky, celestial bodies that rule Aries for you. And you might really be experiencing this season through that lens. And Aries energy really gives us that drive, that focus, the courage that we need to start, to move, to begin. It is the first sign. I like to say that Aries is the newborn baby. And in Aries season or under Aries energy, even when we have an Aries full moon in Libra season, we are experiencing some of that energy of self, the I am, the actually I deserve that, or I want that, or I need that. Those primal energies. Aries energy is really primal in that way. And given that it's the start of the spring equinox, it also awakens new life within us. It awakens new life in nature, quite literally. It's when the trees, the plants, the flowers start to bloom and blossom again and come back to life. And that's really representative of what Aries is. And it is the first sign, it is fire, it is the original. And like I shared in What I'm Screaming About, the best way to start is by starting. That is Aries energy, to just begin. No more thinking, no more hemming and hawing, no more swimming in the depths of Pisces season, of the ending, the beginning again. And it gives us that fire, that drive, that focus, that desire, that inner knowing that we deserve something or everything to make the moves, to act, to have the courage to begin. It's really like the first steps in our journey of 2026. And I've said this before, and I will say it always. I do not feel like the year starts until March. And I felt that way long before I even had any astrology awareness or knowledge or was really into it in the way that I am now. And I always felt like it took me January, February, March to get going, and I thought I was lazy or lacked drive or discipline, and it's none of those things. My energy, my body was just aligning with nature, the natural flow of the season and the energy that our natural world was designed with. And when Julius Caesar got his grubby little hands on the calendar and decided that January was going to be the start of the new year to collect debt and taxes, that got all out of whack. So if you too feel the pressure of January 1 and like it takes you a little bit of time to get started, you're actually just intuitively aligned with nature and the way the external world was designed. So give yourself a little bit more credit. But, you know, Pisces season is the end. Pisces is the 12th sign of the zodiac. I always say Pisces is like the elder already ascending off the planet. It's the dream space, it's the dream realm, it's the liminal space, not quite in Earth, not quite beyond, the in between. And in February and the beginning of March, I don't know about you, but I really feel that, like the finality of that shedding, that in between. And Pisces season also brings us into deeper contact with our dream state, with our hopes, with our wishes. And now Aries season is the time that we get the drive, the motivation, the excitement, the space to change, to allow ourselves to be in the energy, immersed in the energy of making shit happen. So if you're feeling a fire again, you're right on track. You're really working with the energy of Aries. And, you know, we always talk about here the light and the dark, and Aries can be known to be headstrong and hot-headed and selfish. And it also is all of those things I mentioned. It can be energetic. It can be motivating, focused, filled to the brim with life and energy and fun and fire. So finding the balance for yourself, I think, you know, especially however you identify as a woman, as a person of color, wherever you exist in the binary, non-binary, there's validity in the selfishness. There's validity in saying, actually, no, it's time to focus more on what I want and my desires, what I want to create in this world. That's how things get done. When you finally take a stand and say, actually, that's not what I want, or actually, this is what I want, and your willingness to be brave and express those things. So maybe this Aries season for you is just exploring this idea of what selfishness means. And being self-centered, there's a meme I love. It's like, of course I'm self-centered. Who else is going to center me? And I think these words, selfishness, anger, self-centered, we have correlated those experiences and feelings to be bad. You know, I talk a lot about in my breathwork classes and spaces this idea that feelings or the experiences of feelings are bad or good, and that we've been conditioned to think feeling our fire, feeling our rage, feeling our desire, feeling selfish, feeling self-centered, making it about us is always a bad thing. And just like anything, it's all about balance, which is Aries, sibling sign Libra, finding the balance of being in relationship to self and other, finding the balance of when it's time to make it about ourselves, and actually when our learning is best served through relationship and connection to other. And that's what this season is all about, not just the self. The Libra full moon comes in, which we'll get into, to talk about how there's so much learning in the self and figuring out what works and what doesn't work for us and establishing our boundaries, but also learning and recognizing when those boundaries are hindering us from actually making connection to other people, and maybe sometimes even holding us back from what we truly want, that deeper connection. And that true healing starts with the self first, and then the way you actually expand that is through being in relationship to other people. So that's what this season of Aries presents us with. The need to be in self, to be self-centered when it's appropriate and justified and necessary, and deeply aligning with that. And then also how to take that and expand it into our relationships and connections and finding peace through and healing through and learning through those connections. And towards the end of Aries season, we will have 6 planets in Aries, which is chef's kiss for getting things done, which is fire, which I love, right? My Aries Mars loves that and my fire loves that. And hopefully there's a part of your chart where you can find that resonance and connection in too. But Aries season, this one in particular, Aries is also in Saturn, the planet of karmic life lessons and learning, and it's also in Neptune. And Neptune is the planet of dreams, our wishes, our hopes, our desires, our subconscious. So these 2 planets also aligning with the sun, the sign of self. Saturn is all about structure and order and discipline around our ambitions, what we want to learn from and learn with, and how we want to grow in that space. It's about taking our goals seriously. It's building them. It's like you probably have heard or maybe know a lot about your Saturn return. The time where you're coming into Saturn is returning to the space it was when you were born, and you're coming into contact with those lessons you need to learn in order to grow and expand and change and really take your goals and your life seriously. And Saturn wants us to be consistent and put in the work that's required for our dreams. And Aries energy really lends towards that. It's the focus, it's the structure, it's the desire, it's the willingness to start, to begin. So Saturn in Aries is here to remind us that in order to fulfill those dreams and those wishes and those hopes and those desires, there needs to be structure and order and discipline. And the focus of our fire, or the fire of our focus, to really hone in on what we want and to take the action that is necessary to make it happen. I think people get tripped up a lot with manifestation, that we just put it out in the world, and especially there's a lot of talk about like letting go and letting it be. Yes, you have to say the thing that you want, and then you can't sit in it and obsess about it and hem and haw and overthink. But we often miss the step of the action that's required towards that manifestation. Anything that I've manifested in my own life, I had the vision, and then I took steps towards making it happen that I thought would get me closer to it. And human design's another practice that I love. I don't know as much about, but I do know I'm a non-specific manifester. So when I want something, I need to take action aligned with that thing that will get me closer to it. But it's not, for me, it's not, I must do this to do this, and then this, A, B, C, D, April 15th, May 31st, June 18th. It's not that specific for me. I need to deeply connect with what I want, put it out in the world, and then take the steps towards that thing that'll get me closer. Some people are more specific, where they need to plan that specifically to get the thing that they want. But Saturn is reminding us, whatever our manifestation is, that there is action and work required. It's not just about having the dream. It's about the courage and the action towards the thing. That is what will actually get us what we want. And Neptune in Aries is all about our dream state becoming active. That it's not just about imagining the life that we want. Again, it's not just about sitting in our daydream. It's about actually building it, about taking the actionable steps, finding the focus, connecting to that fire and bravery, and making it happen. The courage to do the thing. It's a reminder also that our dreams exist within us, in our mind, in our body, our heart, however you connect to those things, for a reason. They're not random. I like to think and say that the dream alone, having that vision, it's already possible because you have it, because you have the vision, because you have the desire. The desire is proof that it is possible. Now, are you willing to take the actionable steps to make it happen? Neptune in Aries is going to provide that inspiration, that, again, that drive, that focus to build the dream. So what do you want from this life? What are you here to achieve? What is your purpose, your life's mission? What are you willing to fight for? Because Aries is the planet of war. And it doesn't mean war in the literal sense, even though unfortunately Ha ha ha. That's what's literally happening. But, astrology is not real, right? That is my favorite thing to say in these trying times when the astrology aligns with the outer world and political landscape. But I think, especially in the wellness world, there is this misconception that you have to sit back and just be in receiving mode, which, before you come for me, can be very well true. There are moments and times where you've done the work and you just have to sit back and be in receiving. And as a woman who has been bossy her whole life and thinks that the more work I do, the more I'll get, has been conditioned to think that if I just work hard enough, I'll get everything I want. That is a real test for me right now, being more in receiving mode. And there's so much validity in that, and Libra energy too. But I think we also have been made to believe that the fight and the being in the shit, we can bypass that, or we don't have to actually be in that energy, that we can just be in receiving mode. And I truly believe that, yes, receiving mode, there is a time and a place for that in all of our unlearning, depending on how you approached life and your healing. And I'm learning that in a big way. But if we look back on history and time and space, things actually don't change without conflict. And I'm not saying that it has to be literal war. I would prefer it not be. I'm not saying that it has to be deep, divided conflict amongst people. I would prefer that it not be, actually. Even as an Aries Mars, I would prefer peace and understanding and real conversation. But we live in the society that thinks that conflict is drama, and they are not the same things, especially in relationships, in romantic relationships, in friendships, in family dynamics, that healthy conflict and drama are not the same thing. And in order for there to be change, a lot of times there needs to be conflict. With self or with other, my process can look really grimy and challenging, and people don't always agree with it, understand it, and I would like to be in a different relationship to myself one day and not have to go so deep into battle with those parts of myself. But those are still things that I'm working on healing, working my way through. And most of the time, I'm not in conflict with other people. I'm in conflict with myself. So coming up against those parts of you that are still resistant to that change, that level of courage that is required to be in your life's work. And again, I want to be clear, I'm not saying that we need to live there, that we can't be in receiving mode, that we can't unclench the fist and let go of our tight grasp and our clinging and receive. But there's some work that needs to be done before that. The energy, the work, the putting yourself forward, being courageous and brave in these situations. And when we look back on history, change happens when we're willing to be brave, to be courageous, to have the uncomfortable conversation with ourselves, especially first, and with others. Not from a place of me against you, but in a place of the greater good, of calling ourselves and each other out in a loving, supportive way. That's what I mean in the energy of conflict. Aries teaches us to feel pressure in a healthy way, to say to ourselves, yeah, I have this dream, I have this vision of what I want to create, of what I want for myself, and what am I willing to do to get there? The work that I'm willing to put in, what am I willing to put to the side, let go of, step into? Who am I willing to become in order to make this happen? Not just to sit back and whine and complain that the manifestation hasn't come to real life when I'm not actually doing the work and taking the steps. And that work can look different for everyone depending on where you're at in your journey, in your life, and in what you want, right? So knowing when to be in receiving mode and when to be in action, that is the dichotomy of Aries-Libra energy. And before we have that Aries new moon, we have a Libra full moon on April 1st, which is really interesting that we get to experience this Libra energy before we get to really experience the fully realized version of Aries. So thinking about Aries season, being in self, being in that selfishness, that healthy, self-centered, this is what I want, this is what I'm building, this is how I need to move, this is the boundary I need to set. Then we come into contact halfway through the season with this Libra full moon. And Libra being the opposite, the sibling sign, the yin and the yang with Aries. If Aries is about self, Libra is about other. If Aries is I am, Libra is we are. And we come into contact with more of our heart space, and not just how it feels for ourselves, but how it feels for everyone in our life, in our relationships, romantic, platonic, familial, otherwise. And the heart is the main emotional center for our love for self and others. So we really wouldn't learn the fullness of Aries season and the expression of it if we weren't coming into contact with other people. And again, those conversations, we need to have them with self in order to have them with other. We need to have them with ourselves in order to explore, or even be willing to explore, those situations with the people in our life. And we can't know or understand what we can truly give to another person until we give it to ourselves first and foremost. And this full moons are a time for releasing, letting go, clearing out, making space for what we want in the Aries new moon. This moon in particular invites us to look at how we balance our needs, our love for self and other. It's a moment to come in contact with our boundaries, to examine our relationships. We've been in the self, and we've been examining what we need, what we want, what we're willing to fight for, what we're willing to give, how we're willing to drive our desires forward. And now, on April 1st, with this Aries full moon, we get to examine how we're supporting others, how that works for them, how that works for us, where we can focus or give more, and where our boundaries are, or around what we truly have to give, what we truly can give. And it's all about creating the balance between our needs and the needs of those we love. And Libra reminds us, in this fire, in this passion, drive, desire, aggression, standing up for what we believe in season of Aries, it also is the space. Libra is ruled by Venus, so it wants us to connect to our joy, what feels good in our heart, what is aesthetically pleasing, what feels loving and nurturing and patient and understanding. In Libra's highest vibration, it is the wisdom that we are not doing this life alone, that we are actually, it's not about us. It's not about just ourselves. It is about all of us together. And that life would be so boring just being in the self, just the selfishness of constantly operating and moving from our own desires without taking the people we love and the world around us into consideration. It is the reminder that being in a relationship to other people is sometimes even more challenging than being in relationship to ourselves, that it is not always easy, but it is always worth it. That part of life is meant to be lived because of the connections that we make with other people. Even my introverts out there are some people that, some really solid 1, 2, 3, 4 people in your life, however closely knit your circle is, that they bring so much joy and goodness and fullness to your life just by being who they are, and the love and the energy that they provide for you, to your life, to your space. And it's an opportunity to, this full moon, to assess relationships and our boundaries within them, to know that we are complete and whole on our own, and still, what makes life worth living are those connections. What connections nourish you? Which ones drain you? Where do you need to find more balance in your connections? Are you an overgiver? Are you an under-receiver? Hello, raising my hand. Do you operate from a place of, the more I give, the more love I'll receive? Also can be deeply guilty of that. And figuring out the boundaries that you need to have with yourself and also in your relationships. Where do you need firmer boundaries? Maybe where are your boundaries too firm that you're holding yourself back from the connection you so deeply want to receive? And also recognizing that relationships change over time and that real love and respect and the healthiest relationships allow us to evolve both ourselves and give our partner, our person, our friend, our lover, our family member the space to do the same. And Libra full moon wants us to clear any of those patterns, habits, relationships out that keep us from being in peace and alignment with ourselves, and also to lean into the ones that give us that peace, that bring us that joy, to be a little bit more vulnerable, a little bit more open, a little bit more loving. And a really great practice for the Libra full moon would be to just do something for someone you love, to express it to them, to say it to them, share it to them, to acts of service in some way. Whatever your love language is and the person you're connecting with, friend, lover, partner, family member that you want to make feel loved and special, that's what you do on a Libra full moon. Have the conversation, create the boundary in a loving way. Boundaries are one of the most loving acts of kindness we can do. We're saying, actually, I really want to continue to be in relationship with you. So I'm setting this parameter, this boundary, not just for me, but for us, so I can be in healthy relationship to you. Because the shadow side of Libra is a lack of expression, of being uncertain, of indirect communication. It's when we don't see the value in both sides of a relationship, when we're making it all about us or all about them. That's imbalance there. And it can create anxiety in our partnerships and relationships. It's when we hesitate to express directly and the anxiety is created, then we want to control things, then we create narratives that aren't true or real or grounded in reality. It's when we're afraid to really just be in and speak from our heart's truth. That's the shadow side of Libra. So a Libra full moon, it wants us to do the opposite, to be brave enough to be rooted in love and to operate from that place. And the full moon will also bring out the shadow side of Aries, which is acting super impulsively, making it all about us in an unhealthy, out of balance way. It's when we push our lens, our desires, our wants above anyone else's without having the perspective to see all sides of a thing. Libra is the scales, the balance. So this Libra full moon can also bring us out of balance with that Aries side of things. It's when we're forcing, when we're creating conflict just for the sake of creating conflict. It's, really asking us to look at what we're ready to heal in our relationship with others. That is this Libra full moon. And the Aries new moon on April 19th, like I said, brings us into that fully realized moment of Aries energy. And it is a moment that gives us full permission, full agency to start again, to begin again. You start by starting, you begin by beginning. And we can hem it and we can haw it and we can want it to be perfect and be fully realized before we put it out in the world. But the truest expression of our heart's desire, of our life purpose, of our creation is going to be messy at first. You don't need to have it all figured out. It didn't need to work out previously. What you're doing now is you're starting again, you're beginning again, you're course correcting. And whatever your dreams are, whatever your hopes, your wishes, your desires, we wipe the slate clean of what happened before. And we choose to begin again. We choose to double down on those dreams, or maybe they're new or more fully realized or a different layer, and we choose to go again. We really dive deep into all the things I've already mentioned about this season. What do you want from your life? What do you want it to look like? Who do you want to become? What is that most fully realized, visualized version of your life? And then what are the steps you are going to take to create and build from that place? A really great practice under the Aries new moon is visualization manifestation. Visualizing where you want to be. And maybe in this moment, you're not there now, and that's okay. But visualizing where you want to be in the next 6 months, year, 5 year, 10 years, however far you want to go. And then coming out of that visualization, really leaning into all of the bits of it, the desires, the wants, what it looks like in every way, not just externally, not just in the accolades and the achievements, but also how you move through the world, how you show up in your life, how you show up in your relationships, who you are, how you dress, how you feel. Coming out of that visualization and moving from that place, even though you already don't have those things, even though they maybe feel further away than you'd like, moving from the space of being that person, just starting with the feeling. And when the doubts come up, which they will, and the hesitation comes up, which it will, and the imposter syndrome will come up, which it will, especially if you're a woman or a person of color, because we've been made to believe that we need to buy into those things, that imposter syndrome. Those things will come up. That doesn't mean you're not holding the vision. That doesn't mean you're doing it wrong. That doesn't mean you fucked up or made a mistake. It means you're human. Recognizing your humanness and then choosing to take a breath and start again and live in that energy again. What bold action are you taking every day, every week, every month towards those desires? That is Aries energy. And it feels more potent under Aries season, but it's available to you at any time, especially if you have Aries placements. If you need to take action, if you need to have a difficult conversation, if you need to speak up for what you need at any point in the year, embody that Aries energy. We have it all within us, whether you have Aries placements or not. Like I said, all of the energy of all the signs are available to us and within us in some way. So how do you tap into that? And if you feel like you have a lack of it in your life, surround yourself with more people who do. Find expanders who embody that energy, who take bold action, who inspire you to create, build, transform your life and go full force in the direction of your dreams. Find one or two people that inspire that in you. And I bet maybe they have some real strong Aries placements, or maybe they don't, and they just inspire this energy in you. But use this new moon, use this season to really visualize what you want for the next 12 months, for the next year, for the next 5 years, 10 years, and then every day take those steps in that direction. Embody that feeling. We often think that goals are just about hitting the markers and the achievements. And I don't know if you've listened to some people who have hit their goals, but what happens is it's what's next, because they're not always embodying the feeling of what it's going to feel like. And when we root down into our feeling body of how we want to feel in our life, not just what we want to achieve, how do we want to feel? We want to feel secure. We want to feel safe. We want to feel loved. We want to feel accomplished. And then we transform or envision our goals and our life from that space. That is so much more rooted in who you are and what is going to make you feel good and fulfilled and passionate and full and in yourself aligned with your life. So just some practices for Aries season, the Aries new moon, end of the season, really wiping the slate clean, trusting that we can begin again, not just in Aries season, but always. Time isn't real. Timelines are bullshit. Do you? Choose when to begin again. That is one of the biggest lies, that we cannot start again, begin again. We always have that available to us. And as we wrap up here, one little fun tidbit of information for these next month and a half, 2-ish months. All planets are direct from March 20th to May 6th. So time may feel like it's moving even faster, especially with this Aries fire. We move into Taurus season, and that'll shift things a little bit, bring us back down to earth. But all planets are direct. So if there was ever a time to start the thing, to have the conversation, to make the move, to begin the relationship, to make the new choice, to say fuck it and go after your dreams that everyone is saying are quote unquote unrealistic, now is the time to do it. We've got that Aries fire. All planets are direct. After so many months of Jupiter retrograde and Mercury retrograde will come back again, and Venus retrograde is happening in the fall in Scorpio. As a Scorpio Venus, I'm bracing myself already. There's often periods of time where planets are direct, and the outer planets, maybe we don't feel it as much, but planets like Mercury and Venus and these planets that come to us so often, we can really feel it. And Pisces was just retrograde in Mercury, and that hit really hard. So use this time, at least for me. Maybe it didn't for you, but everyone was feeling a little swimming in the chaos of miscommunication. Use this time to take action, not just in your life, but in how you move through the world. Take action, plan the trip, plan the vacation, take action, make the move in your relationship, in your friendship, take action in your career life, start a new habit, create that business, start it, begin. This is the season to begin again, to choose again, to start again. Tap into that energy, use your fire. Whether you feel like you're a fiery being or not, we all have that fire inside of us, the same way we have every element, water, air, earth. Tap into it and use it to create, not just for yourself, but for everyone around you. The more we are willing to take bold action, courageous action, the more it inspires people to move in the same way. And the more it reminds the people we love in our life that they have that same capability and capacity to take the action to make their dreams come true, to build the life that we want. So even though sometimes when we're making these choices that feel or are categorized as selfish, we're really not ever doing it just for ourselves. We're doing it for the world around us and what it will create for the people in our lives, in our communities, the greater good. Because again, we are in the age of Aquarius, and it is not just about self. Even when it feels like we're just doing it for ourselves, it has that ripple effect on everyone around us. That is my TED Talk on Aries season, on embracing your fire, on going after what you want. I have a lot of that work to do myself. I know it doesn't always seem like it, but sometimes I struggle to communicate in relationships and to really ask for what I want. So even though I'm talking to you, I'm talking to me. And please hold me to it. Please remind me if I'm spinning out about having to say or communicate what I need. I'm just a little traumatized bird that is scared of, being rejected like we all are, or being told no, or being told I'm too much or not good enough. So if you're feeling that way too, I see you, I feel you, I hear you. And together, this Aries season, we are going to take some of that power back and do things that feel uncomfortable, because discomfort isn't always a sign that something's wrong. It's just a sign that we're doing something new. And often our comfort zone is a beautifully gilded cage, keeping us safe in the life that feels complicit and maybe a little boring and not what we really want. So stepping outside of that comfort zone, breaking free of the cage, often requires discomfort. So I'm right here with you. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you have any questions, reach out to me. Aries season playlist is in the show notes. If you ever want to reach out to me about all things astrology, you know where to find me. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I can't wait to breathe in, scream out with you again very soon.